Time now 7:16. It will be a history-making day in Washington, D.C. as the Senate begins President Trump's impeachment trial.
Fox 5 legal analyst Wendy Patrick is joining us now with a look ahead of today's hearing. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning.
The rules for this impeachment trials, that was being debated back and forth. Where did we end up?
Well, we ended up basically with, and again, these results are probably still in flux, but both sides are going to be given 24 hours to present their arguments. That's where we're going to start. But do you think that's spread out over the course of a week? It's being spread out in the course of 2 days, 2 12-hour days. Wow. Can you imagine a shift that lasts for 12 hours? Now, let me add to that that they don't start until 1 p.m. So you have a shift between 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. and add to that the fact that these senators are going to be treated like real jurors. That means no phones, no talking, no reading, no standing except to vote. They are going to be treated as triers of fact. I mean, just to think about having to sit anywhere for 12 hours without your phone, if that's where it stopped. But that's the way that this is going to proceed. Now, both sides, of course, are going to be subject to the same rules. And one of the problems, the potential problems with a schedule like that is if you're the managers or if you're the president's defense team, you're sure going to want to front load your arguments closer to 1 p.m. than 1 a.m.
Of course.
And you also have to wonder and worry whether or not that schedule is going to be able to deliver the best evidence.
The obvious question here is why, and what's the strategy behind it?
The why is no doubt the State of the Union is scheduled for February 4th. They would like to have this wrapped up and tie a bow on it by then. What's the strategy is to really streamline what exactly both sides get to talk about. And remember, after all of that is when we're probably going to entertain a motion to decide whether witnesses are going to be called. So it could lengthen significantly. Maybe the State of the Union will be moved. Remember, that wouldn't be the first time. But the goal is to really have a speedy trial, as we say in real criminal law, rather than have this simply drag out for weeks.
Wendy, you mentioned witnesses. We've been talking a lot about that over the past few days. Democrats continue to push that they want more.
That's right.
Will they be successful? Can they bring more?
Well, they can subpoena witnesses, Shawley, and I love the way you asked that question. Can they bring more? Do you want to hear from certain people? All you can do is serve a subpoena, and then, of course, the other side can move to block, move to quash, assert executive privilege or other privileges. So, I mean, you could subpoena anybody you like, but that has to be vetted in terms of rules of procedure. Now, obviously, even though it's not a criminal proceeding, it still does have rules of procedure. That's one of the reasons that Chief Justice Roberts is there. Remember, he is more prestige and power than actually somebody that's going to be substantive. He's mainly ceremonial, but don't expect him to be answering those tough questions, Shawley. He's probably going to do what anybody would do, is leave it up to the rules that have been already established. 51 votes of the Senate. I'm
trying to remember back to the Clinton impeachment trial in 1998. That lasted for weeks and weeks. I think the number, 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks, something like that.
Well, it wasn't that long.
And it wasn't in an election year, like a presidential election year. It was 98, obviously. It was midterms. But the difference between that trial that was not speedy at all and what they're trying to do here, they're obviously looking back at that trial and saying what didn't work there and say, well, maybe we need to get this in and out quickly.
Only procedurally. And they also, and that's what Mitch McConnell said. He said they also had 24 hours. It was twice as long. It was split over the course of 4 days. But the difference there, Raul and Shawley, is remember the President Clinton basically fell on a sword and said, I did it.
True. The
question in the Senate is an impeachable offense. Here, President Trump says, I didn't do it. So then you get this, well, would it have been an impeachable offense even if he did? Because remember, what he's charged with includes a mental state. And I mean, I'd have to hold the rest of the morning to talk about these articles of impeachment. Abuse of power, what's that? That's part of the problem as well. So a very, very different trial we're going to see this week than we did with President Clinton.
The big things, Wendy, we should be watching for today.
Well, today is going to be method over merits. Today is going to be the setting of the ground rules, and that's going to matter determining, going forward. But starting tomorrow, Shawley and Raul, fasten your seatbelt.
Oh boy.
Hopefully you'll have me back to talk about as things unfold.
Hopefully, yes. How do you defend the president? That team he put together. I mean, how do you actually defend the president of the United States in this trial?
Each one of those members has a separate role. You heard Professor Dershowitz. He's going to talk more about the Constitution. Some of the insiders are going to just, give legal advice behind the scenes. And then, of course, there's the TV lawyers who are going to be the face of the defense. So everybody has a different part to play. We'll see if it all pans out.
It's a fascinating process, either way you look at it. Wendy Patrick, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're back tomorrow. Stay here all week. Just camp out at this point. Thank you.